Hello everyone, I am Risha Chakraborty and this is my first YouTube video. So today I'll start with giving a very basic overview on coping mechanism. Coping mechanism is something that we use to deal with stress. Now, what is stress? Stress is a state of worry or mental tension that we face during difficult situations. Stress can be felt in various scenarios in our day-to-day life. So we need to cope with this stress. So coping mechanisms are patterns and behaviors we fall back on to deal with unusual stressful situation. Changes are constant. So when we see these changes, we feel overwhelmed whether the changes are positive, negative, expected or unexpected. When this happens, we look for ways to cope with the new stressor while trying to maintain our emotional balance. So now let us take an example. Imagine you are trying to step onto a boat. So you put your foot on the deck and the deck starts to move beneath you. So you will reach onto something so that you don't fall. Now you are standing on that boat and the boat suddenly starts to move. So you will reach out for a support. So here the boat is our changing circumstances and our instinct to hold on to something for support is our coping mechanism. So you must have heard of the phrase control only what you can control. You must have heard of the phrase control only what you can control. When circumstances feel overwhelming, our coping mechanism help us to bring them under control. We can do this either by managing the emotions or by trying to fix the problem. When we can take charge of what we can control, even if it's just our emotional reaction to the circumstances, we can improve our outcomes tremendously. Situation tends to feel better because we feel better about it. This decreases depression, anxiety, and poor self-esteem. So there are two types of coping mechanism: problem-focused coping mechanism and emotion-focused coping mechanism. Problem-focused coping mechanism aims to change or eliminate the source of your stress. This type of coping works when you have some control over the situation. So let us take an example. One day you check your credit card statement and see that there are number of unfamiliar charges. So to rationalize it, you think that it must belong to one of your family members. But after checking with everyone, you become clear that you have become a victim of identity theft. So in problem-focused coping, you will call the bank and tell them what happened. You will freeze your card and credit reports to avoid any further damage. And then you will write your expenses and make plan so that you can do them without using your cards. Now, emotion focused coping mechanism. It is impossible to avoid stress, particularly in a situation where you have no control over the source of your stress. Emotion focused coping strategies can help you to change the way you respond to your stress. There are various methods through which you can cope with your stress. One such is journaling. Journaling can be an excellent way to be aware of and deal with painful emotion. Second is mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness meditation is a way to notice your emotion about a stressful situation in a non-judgmental way. Third is acceptance. Suppose something traumatic happened to you and there is no way You can change the fact of the situation. Radical acceptance means accepting the reality or stop fighting the reality of what's in front of you. It does not mean that you have to be fine with what happened, but making peace with the challenge or situation by changing the emotional response to it. There are many unhealthy coping mechanisms that people follow, such as increased substance use. Like people drink, smoke so as to avoid the problem. They think that this way they can cope with the stress. Second is pretending that the problem does not exist. Sometimes people pretend that the problem itself does not exist so that they don't have to deal with the problem. Third is indulging in escapism. People try to escape problem. People try to escape stress that they are getting in their life through partying, games. People play games so they don't have to think of that problems. And fourth is rationalizing their action, especially for bad behaviors. People behave rudely, and they try to rationalize that problem, rationalize their action by saying that they are in immense stress, they cannot deal with the stress, they cannot cope with the stress. Yes. And fourth is their food habits, sleeping schedule, exercise routine goes through a dramatic change. Everything changes because since they think that they cannot deal with the stress, the amount of stress they're getting in their life. So these are few unhealthy coping mechanisms that people follow. There are two primary styles of coping: active coping and avoidant coping. In active coping, it deals with the stressor head on. Whether you decide to focus on the problem or how you feel about the problem, active coping attempts to deal with the stressor and reduce the effect it has on you. And avoidant coping, as it suggests by the name, avoids the situation and ignores the feelings of the stressor altogether. So these are a basic overview on coping mechanism. Thank you for watching. Let's meet in the next video.